Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jai Hind, Namaskar. So, I welcome you all to this daily newspaper editorial analysis session, and I hope that your preparation is going on well. Uh, you have prepared notes and everything. In this week, again, we had topics with respect to the West Asia also. We have topics with respect to energy also, with respect to agriculture and ethanol policy, and last day we have seen some topics with respect to this right to we have seen the topics last day also with respect to polity. So these are the portions which we have seen in the previous sessions. Okay, now in today's session the topics which we are going to discuss, if we look at this, there will be the first topic which is related to the ethics in public life. Now it is a little bit controversial topic also. Controversial means topic in which we will like to discuss the different dimensions with respect to the corruption with respect to government. Then we are going to talk about US and China, that beyond US and China, what should be the strategy in Indo-Pacific region, that we need to look beyond US and China. So we will talk about this one also. And the third one is about one article which is talking about why India should be looking at India and United States trade deal rather than all other. So that is also one perspective which we have to know, that why US and India trade deal is important. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss. These topics we will be looking at, and then we will see the question of the 7th July also. Okay. Now, coming to this topic, the first one, when corruption doesn't make a political noise. This is the topic. So let me give you the context. Okay. Let me give you the context. If we are talking about, if we talk about 2011 to 2014, if we are talking about this timeline 2011 to 2014, okay, what we see that this was a time which was marked by there were multiple cases of corruption. There were multiple cases of corruption. Okay. This time we have seen that anti-corruption protests have also started. There were also multiple anti-corruption protests also. There were several anti-corruption protests also. And what we ultimately saw that in 2014, it led to the change in the government. So in 2014, what we see that it also led to the toppling of government or change in government. It led to the change in government. Okay. So what we saw that during this 2011 to 14, there were multiple cases of corruption which were going on, and due to which there was a huge public outcry. Public was talking about corruption. People were aware about the corruption. There were so many movies made during that time with respect to corruption. There were so much discussion with respect to 2G scam, Colgate scam, and many other things which were going on in 2011 to 2014. There was a anti-corruption movement also which was led by Anna Hazare. So these were the things which were going on in 2011 to 2014. These were things which were going on in 2011 to 14. But what we see that there was a change in nature of corruption. There is a change in nature of corruption after that time. Okay. There is a change in nature of corruption after that period of time. Okay. Nowadays, what we see that there is in the present times, nowadays there is lesser discussion. There is a lesser discussion on corruption. There is a lesser discussion on corruption. That the people were not talking about corruption in the last 10 to 12 years. Although in the recent times we see that there have been so many allegations of corruptions. there have been so many allegations of corruption in the last 6 months to 1 year. In the last 6 months or 1 year, there have been so many cases of discussion with respect to corruption. But over a longer period of time, if we look at the time of 2014 to 2024, we see that during this phase, the general public was not discussing that much about the corruption. Okay, so why this is the nature? Why the people are not discussing about corruption? What we see that there is a changing nature of corruption. There is a changing nature of corruption. There is a changing nature of corruption. There is two types of corruption. One is retail corruption and one is wholesale corruption. Okay, so we see that retail to wholesale corruption. Retail to wholesale corruption. Now let me give you one example. Okay, that what is the meaning of retail to wholesale corruption? Retail corruption will be like this. Suppose if a person is going to get a LPG cylinder. Suppose if a person is going to get a LPG cylinder and instead of rupees 900 or 1000, someone is asking them to pay 1200, 1300, 1500. So that is something which is a retail corruption. If the price is 100, let's say the price of one LPG cylinder is 1000 rupees, and someone is going to the shop, to the distributor, and they're asking 1200 rupees or 1500 rupees. So that is a retail corruption. What will be wholesale corruption? Wholesale corruption will be like getting the block of the oil, getting the block of the coal. So it will be at a much more larger level, that coal allocation was being done, or the oil fields were being distributed, or the government is providing tax benefit without any rationale. So that is something which will be called as wholesale corruption. So at a larger level. So when some things happen at larger level, it is not impacting the general public on day-to-day basis. Okay. So this wholesale corruption which is there, it is having no impact, no visible impact on day-to-day life. There is no such visible impact on day-to-day life of the people. That it is not impacting the day-to-day life of the people. So that's why people are not concerned about it. People are not thinking about it, that yes, there is a corruption. Okay. Then the second part was that during this time, why we have not seen any such protest or anything. Okay. Improvement in the capacity of a state. Improvement in state capacity. Improvement in state capacity of delivering citizen-centric services. Okay. Like over the period of time, you may have seen that now we are getting more electricity, we are getting more frequent ration, we are getting services, or we are getting things done much more easily as what it used to be in the past. Like, just to give you an example, I don't know how many of you have witnessed this. I think many of you are in the age of 20, 22 or 24. So way back in 2014, when you were of 10 years or 12 years or 14 years, at that time you might not have gone for opening some bank account. But before 2014, opening a bank account was a next level challenge. If you have to open a bank account in your name, Indian banks used to behave as if they are doing some charitable work by opening the bank account of a person. So opening a bank account prior to 2014 was very much challenging task. But we see that there was improvement in service delivery in many of the things. From financial inclusion to many other parts, it was made simple. So what we see that this was also one of the part. Okay. Now what we see that not just at union level, at a state level also, political parties have been able to cast themselves as the force in many of the states in India, in many of the part, we have seen that there have been ruling party for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. So political parties have been able to cast themselves as an insurgent force against the ancient regime. Okay. So political parties represented themselves as the insurgent force against old regime. Like see, in case of let me give you an example. In case of Delhi also you may have seen that in 2013 there was rise of one political party which led to the overthrow of the government which was existing for multiple years in Delhi. Okay. Then we see that similar regime change has also been seen in West Bengal, in case of Odisha, in case of Bihar, in case of many other states, in case of Tamil Nadu recently, that the political parties are representing themselves as the insurgent force, okay, as the insurgent force which has led to the toppling of the ancient regime, that people were not happy with the ancient regime. So now a new political party is coming, or an existing political party is coming. They are overthrowing the previous government. So that's why they are representing that we are the one who have saved you. We are the one who have saved you. So that is also one thing. Okay. Then you will see that many leaders, many political leaders, they have worked on their own image. Many political leaders, they have worked on their own image. Okay. You may see that across the political parties, there are certain leaders in which people have a huge belief that the party may be corrupt, all other members of the party may corrupt, but that leader is not corrupt. Okay. So we see that in many such political parties there have been a few leaders who have projected themselves that he or she is a true leader. They are always thinking about the people, and their party members may be having problem, their party members may be corrupt, but they are the true leaders. They are dedicated to the public. So this is what some of the leaders have projected themselves. Okay. And the people started believing that their supreme leader, or that leader of that political party, of any political party, is incorruptible. So people are having lesser belief on party and more belief on some leaders. Okay. That they have been able to project themselves. That our party may be corrupt, but we are very much good. Okay. So this is one thing. Which we see. But what we see over the last 1 year, okay, in the last 1 year, we see that there have been collapse of many of these narratives. There have been collapse of many of these narratives. Okay. There have been the collapse of many of these narratives. See, retail corruption impacts on daily basis, but wholesale corruption is going to impact the people at a much more larger scale. It will take some time, but it is going to impact the people. The wholesale corruption, it is also going to impact the people at a larger level. Yes, it's time taking, but its impact is going to be much more massive. Okay, so now we see that wholesale corruption. Now we see that wholesale corruption, this is something which has started to impact people now. It has started to impact people now. This wholesale corruption which is there, it has started to impact the people now. How it is impacting the people? I think you all are aware about this. We have seen paper leak. We have seen flooding of cities. We have seen the flooding of cities. We have seen that there have been the LPG and fuel crisis. There have been LPG and fuel crisis. There have been you know that at many a times it was announced in India that we are having roads, we are having drainage system in which we are using space technology, but many of these space technology based roads are having so many potholes that it may appear that they are not roads having potholes. It may appear that there are potholes who are having some of the roads. Okay, so the infrastructural gap, the infra gap, potholes. Okay, we have seen that we have got recently the inauguration of this Delhi to Dehradun expressway, and within some days, just after the rainfall, there have been collapse of the structure at some of the places. We have seen that some new tunnels have been constructed in Maharashtra. New tunnels have been constructed in Maharashtra, and just after one rainfall, the situation is very bad. So now this wholesale corruption which was going on, now it has started impacting the people on day-to-day level. It has started impacting the people on the day-to-day level. So we have the road construction. Okay, at many places we have seen that some of the very powerful industrialists, they have got contracts at just a few rupees. Okay, so this is one of the part. There have been a recent thing. There have been a case involving some theft from a temple also. So the entire, if we see at the entire things going on, we see that from all the different dimensions, from all the different areas, many issues have started to rise in the same manner as it was there in 2011 to 14 period. From the road to the examination, to the different contracts, to the LPG crisis, to the fuel crisis, to the temple issue, to the abuse of power, and then sometimes we are also having some of the ethically trained IPS officers or IAS officers. Okay, so we are having some of the ethically trained GS paper 4 passed out IPS officers or IAS officers who think that they have been given the power to thrash anyone. So there have been abuse of power also. So many a times we see that this entire issue has started to sum up now. Okay, so there the perception of incorruptible. There was a perception of incorruptible supreme leader. This is failing now. Okay, the belief in capacity of supreme leader, that is also failing now. So people, what we see that people are not now believing in the capacity of their leader. Okay, so that is one of the part that now in the recent 1 year, in the last 1 year, you may have seen that there have been multiple protests going on. There were protests in Noida with respect to the labours. There were protests in Narmada around this Kane-Betwa interlinkage project. There is a protest of some groups which is already going on in Jantar Mantar in Delhi. In different part of the country, in different sections of the city, there is already some protest going on. So we see that now the people are coming out of their home. They have started protesting against the government. It's not only that they are protesting against union government. Many a times it is against the district administration. It is against the state government. It is also against the union government. So we see that the corruption, the issue of corruption has again started echoing among the general masses. Okay. So this is one thing which was being discussed in this editorial, that how the corruption has once again became a limelight. Corruption has once again become a limelight of the public now. It has again started to come in the limelight of public. So that's good. From time to time when we are having such issues, then we see that there is a reform in the governance process. There is a reform in the public life. Okay. So I hope it's clear. Sometimes road also seems like we are on moon, not on earth. See, it is not roads which are having potholes. It is not the roads which are having potholes. It is the potholes which are connected by the roads. At many places, these are the potholes which are connected by road. So there is a connectivity between the potholes. It's not that there is a potholes in the road. Okay. Coming on to the next topic, we have the next important topic, that beyond US and China, India and others are building a G-2 for Indo-Pacific. Okay. So this is one of the very important topic, and this is in fact going to be perhaps the future of Indo-Pacific. So let us try to understand what is the scenario. What is G-2? G-2 refers to a group consisting neither US nor China. It refers to a group which is consisting neither US nor China. So that is something which is referring to G-2. Okay. This is something which is being proposed. It is something which is being proposed by Asian countries or prominent countries or prominent nations in Indo-Pacific. Okay. So this is something which is being proposed by, okay, like it is being proposed by the Asian countries, Australia, New Zealand and others. Okay. So it's not formal yet. Okay. What we see that it is not a formal alliance yet, but we see that there is expansion in bilateral relations or trilateral relations among the nation countries. We see that there is expansion in the bilateral or trilateral relations among the nation countries. So we see that like Indian Prime Minister have visited to Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand. like, so we see that we are now recently the Japanese Prime Minister was in India. So we see that these countries have started talking to them. Okay. So what is the objective here? What is the objective here? There is trying to reduce excessive dependence, on US or China. We see that when we are talking about the Indo-Pacific region, very often we see that there are two types of blocks which are being created. One which is like in favor of US led group, one which is in favor of China led group, and in both cases we see that there is an excessive dependence on these two nations. They are trying to frame the policies according to their will. They are trying to frame or dictate the policies according to them. But we see that the world is not in the same phase as it used to be there in the 1940s, 50s or 60s, when there were only two nodes or only two sources of power in the world. The world is in such a state where the power is now somewhat divided. It's true that there are two poles, US and China, but at the same time, there are multiple smaller poles also which are existing there. Okay. So we see that what we see recently, Indian PM have gone to Australia, have gone to New Zealand, have gone to Indonesia. Okay. Then we saw that Japanese PM visited India. You can see that with almost all the nations, we are having this connection. We are trying to have connection with all the nations except for US and China. That we are not talking to two of them. We are not trying to involve them in this group. What we are doing, that we are making a separate group apart from US and China. Okay. And why this has been done? Okay. The question is why it is being done. Okay. We see that there is a growing uncertainty. Due to Trump's regime. There is a growing uncertainty due to the Trump's regime, that the people are not having the idea about this, that what he might be doing. Okay. So what we see that there is a concern also about this. It may also happen that in future US and China may form an alliance. Anything is possible in geopolitics. It may be possible that in future US and China may form an alliance and then they start dominating all other countries. Okay. So that is also a possibility. If you think that US is having a character like it will always go with democratic nations, that they will always go with democratic nation, it's not that thing. US has no character at all. For money, it can do anything. Okay. So what we see that US and China may dominate Asian geopolitics. What we see that US-China grouping may start dominating Asian geopolitics. So that is also a possibility that they can start doing this. Okay. Then we also see that like there has been a change in US policy with respect to Pacific. I think we have discussed it. We have discussed it just a few days back that US is now focusing on Western Command more than the Indo-Pacific or the Pacific area. So there has been a change in the policy of United States also. Now they have started to focus more on the Western Hemisphere rather than looking at the Pacific. So now the countries are also trying to diversify. They are also trying to diversify. Okay. Now, what is the core principle? What is the core principle of G minus 2? What is the core principle of G minus 2? It is not anti-America. It is not anti-China. One of the main part is it is not anti-America. It is not anti-America. America is also being considered essential partner. China is also being considered like a essential partner. Okay. So the countries here are not looking for going against them. Rather than we are going to participate with them. We are going to engage them. We are not decoupling them. We are just trying to de-risk. Okay, there is one thing, de-risking rather than decoupling. Okay, so here we see that the focus is de-risking rather than decoupling. That we are removing the risk. We are removing the risk. We are not like trying to move away from them. We are not trying to like sideline them. We will be engaging with them. But our engagement will be in such a manner that it will not be dependent upon them. It will not be dependent upon them. The focus is also on strengthening the middle power. Strengthening middle power. Strengthening the middle power. The focus here is on strengthening the middle power with respect to more and more collaboration. Okay. So this is one thing that we have seen in the recent time. India has also been working on it. Let me give you some example. Okay. Let me give you some example. With Indonesia, we are working for maritime security, Indo-Pacific connectivity, strategic location. With Japan, we are focusing on advanced manufacturing, infrastructure, defense technology. With South Korea, we are focusing on shipbuilding, semiconductor, defense production. With Australia, we are working on critical minerals, maritime security, Indian Ocean cooperation. With New Zealand, we are working on agriculture, higher education, trade, emerging technology. Okay. So we see that earlier we were trying to have all these things with US alone or China alone. Okay. But now we are shifting our focus. The focus is more on like building of the middle powers, rather than just focusing on good relations with the strong or the great powers. So great powers always are having certain risk. They are having always certain risk. So this is one thing. This is one thing where we are like focusing on G minus 2. And how it can be successful, that what needs to be done, how we can ensure that it becomes successful. So from India's point of view, we need to have a faster economic reforms. If we want to build this G minus 2, we need to have a faster economic reforms, a stronger manufacturing competitiveness, defense industrial modernization, technological innovation, greater integration with Asian value chain, and enhanced ability to become a reliable, strategic and economic partner. Okay. So for India, this G minus 2 is one of the greatest opportunity. This is one of the greatest moment for India. If you look at the G minus 2, India is going to be the largest economy in that. Okay, right now, of course, Japan is there. Right now, of course, Japan is there, but over the period of time, you will find that India is going to become a much more larger economy. Over the next 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, India is going to become a much more larger economy than what Japan is. Okay. So what we see that, like over the period of time, if India is working on these dimensions, then it might be helping India to emerge as a leader of the G-2, because we are a country which is having all these potential. We can be a replacement for both US and China. Okay, we have that huge market also, and we can be a leader in the technology also. So this is one thing where we have to work. And we have started collaborating with many of the countries. So the progress has also started. Now it all depends on what we are doing on our domestic side. See, why India is not in a very good situation in the global geopolitics right now? It is the lack of the domestic capacity. The world is going through a trouble phase, that's true. But why India is not in a good state? It's not just because of the global geopolitics. It is our lack of domestic capability. Which has sidelined us. Okay. So this is where we have to work. This is again one of the opportunity for India. That where we need to work. We need to move away from US and China. We need to strengthen the middle power. Okay. So that is the second article, that what needs to be done. Okay. I hope that's clear. US and Gulf countries are also. So that's why I'm saying still that it is Indo-Pacific. Because when it becomes Asia-Pacific, it covers just the Asian countries of the near the coast of Pacific, or somewhat to the part of Bay of Bengal. But when we are talking about Indo-Pacific, region, so it covers even the western part. So my GS class is over now. How should I start studying? You should make a strategy. This is the month of July. So if you are appearing for next year, first of all, you should make a strategy. You should make a proper timeline of how much time you are going to take in order to finish your revision for prelims. Second thing, you have to also make sure that you are covering at least 150 to 200 topic of mains before December. So make a target of that, one side prelims, one side mains, that you are covering the mains portion around 200 themes before December. Then on the prelim side, you should try to finish your revision by the end of October or November. So if you do that, Kushal, that will be much more better. So make a strategy like this. Clear? So why India is changing the wrong trade deals? With respect to current affairs, let me tell you one thing. We are having daily current affairs. I think you are getting when we are talking about the issue of current affairs. So you are having two things. One is the editorial session. So on every day we are covering around 3 topics. So you are having preparation of 3 topics for mains on daily basis. Plus at the same time, in the evening, we are having the current affair classes. There also we are covering around 4 to 5 topics. And that too we are covering it holistically. So even if you are going by that, your current affair preparation is also going on simultaneously. So we are having 2 classes. It is like if you follow it on regular basis, it is more than sufficient. Now, coming to this one part, why is India chasing the wrong trade deals? Okay. So what is the opinion which has been given here? That India has signed, okay, India has signed multiple trade deals. We see that India, we have got multiple trade deals. We have got multiple trade deals. We have got it with European Union. Okay. We have got it with UK. We have got it with Australia. We have got it with New Zealand. Okay. So we see that we have got multiple such trade deals which have been going on. Okay. Now, what has been said that just a comparison here, that India's combined surplus with UK, European Union and Japan is equal to 12 billion dollar, and India's surplus with United States, this is approximately $42 billion. This is the figure of 2020 to 2025. Okay. This is the average. This is the average surplus per year. Average surplus per year. So if we are having trade with three countries, UK, European Union, Japan, our surplus is something around $12 billion with three countries combined together, and our surplus with US alone is $42 billion. So it is like 3.5 times more. It is like 3.5 times more than what we are doing with other countries. So this is one of the aspects. Now, here it is being said that if we are looking on this basis, that why India should try to get a deal with US. Okay. Why India should be getting a deal with US. Okay. Why India needs a deal with US. That why India needs a deal with United States. Okay. So you will find that US is one destination. US, it is a destination. And it is a destination for what? It is a destination for pharma. It is a destination for pharma, electronics, engineering goods, pharma, electronic goods, electronics, engineering goods, gems and jewelries, okay. So you will find that this is something which is high value export. This is something which is considered as a high value export. This is something which is considered as a high value export. That the pharma, the others, these are certain high value export. So when we are looking at US, this is some area where we are having some high value export. Whereas in other countries, we see that there is export, it's good in quantity, but the value is on the lower side. Okay. Then this is one of the part that why we need a deal. We have already seen US-India trade provides a significant surplus, Okay. So this is one region, high value export. This is second region that we are having a significant surplus. Third region is we are having the challenge, and that challenge is a large trade deficit with China. We are having a large trade deficit with China. That is approximately $99 billion. So we need to compensate it, compensating it with surplus with United States. Okay. That if we are having a surplus with respect to that of United States, so then we are getting a balance there. Then we are able to get a balance there. So this is one of the part that why we need to look at the trade deal with US. Okay, that why we need to have a trade deal with US. But then what are the complications? If we are looking at this one area, so what is the complication? Okay, so this is one thing, because what we see that there is a fear of greater competition from US imports. Fear of greater competition from US imports. That US will also, if we are getting a free trade deal, so many of the US goods will also be entering into India. That will be much more challenging for the Indian markets. Okay. There is also issue that US will also gain access to the agriculture and manufacturing sector of India. Okay. US goods getting access to agri and manufacturing sector. US will also be getting the access to this agriculture and other sectors. Okay. Then we see that when we are talking about a deal with United States, it is also a geopolitically sensitive issue. Geopolitically sensitive due to US, China, India angle. Okay. We see that there is two poles which are getting created, US and China. So if you are having a trade deal with US, not having a trade deal with China, so then again it is going to be complicated, and we cannot have a trade deal with China. China is already flooding our Indian markets with their cheaper goods. So that is also one of the challenges. Okay, so this is one thing that why it is challenging. Plus at the same time we see that there is a lack of consistency. There is a lack of consistency in US policy. There is a lack of consistency in US policy. Okay. So that is also one of the bigger factor. That even if we are making a trade deal, what is going to be the sanctity of that trade deal? Today we are having one president in United States. He might overturn the trade deal even before its implementation, or after its implementation, he might be saying this, that someone stupid from US may have signed it. We have examples there. In 2018, US signed a deal with Canada. Next time when the US same president came to power, he said that some stupid person may have signed this deal. So he had signed the deal in 2018 and he forget about it, that it may have been done by someone else. So there is no such seriousness in US administration right now. They can overturn any decision at any moment of time. So there is a lack of trust. Yes, there is a lack of trust in the US administration. So that is also a complex task. Okay. Now, on the basis of it, we are having two questions here. Okay. The Indo-Pacific region needs to move beyond US and China for mutual development and security. Comment. Examine the significance of India-US trade relations over other FTAs. 150 words. Okay. So these are the two questions which you have to write. Let me give you a hint. When you have to examine, you have to evaluate both aspects of it. When it is written that you have to examine, you have to evaluate both aspects of it. You have to tell about both aspects, that why it is necessary, why it is not necessary. When the topic is comment, you have all the flexibility. You can talk about all the part, that should India move beyond, or should the Indo-Pacific region move beyond US or not, or they should be. So you have full freedom. In comment, you can be adding multiple dimensions. It is up to you. It is up to you. You should be adding something. There should not be any repetition. You should be adding new. So in comment, you have multiple options. At the end of the comment part, you have to again give somewhat views. Okay. Plus, in this examine also, you have to tell whether it is significant or not. Whether it is significant or not, you have to tell in the conclusion. So some of you were asking about the keywords. So in both of them, I have explained that what you have to write in this. Okay. Now, on your demand, there was this one question. The recent Iran conflict has highlighted structural changes in the globalist security architecture and a strategic supply chain. Examine the major geopolitical shift emerging from the conflict and discuss the policy measures India should adopt to safeguard its strategic and energy interest. I think this was the question which you all were saying कि ये question discuss करना है, if I'm not wrong. I think this was the topic which you all wanted to be discussed. So this was an easy question. This was an easy question. How many of you have written this answer? कितने लोगों ने ये आंसर लिखा हुआ था? देखो, if you are getting a question like this, what you will see, the question starts from here. Examine the major geopolitical shift emerging from the conflict and discuss the policy measures India should adopt to safeguard its strategic interest and energy interest. Okay. So what you will do, first of all, you will give an introduction of course about the West Asian crisis. Introduction can be about the West Asian crisis, its nature and scope. Okay, so around 2 or 3 lines you will be telling about that what is the issue with respect to West Asia. That will be the introduction. Then you will make a subheading. यहाँ से आपका पहला subheading होगा. This subheading will be like this: the geopolitical shift amid West Asian crisis. Amid the West Asian crisis. Then we have discussed multiple dimensions of it, like loss of the credibility of United States. Okay, loss of the credibility of United States. Okay, that dominance of Iran, or emerging significance of Iran in this area. The conflicts among this Gulf countries. Okay, so we have discussed many such geopolitical shifts which we have seen. The rise of China also as a like shadow player. There is a rise of China also as a shadow player in this entire conflict. So you will mention about all these things. You will also mention about the vulnerability in to the supply chains, vulnerability to the supply chains. Okay, shock to the energy. So these are the geopolitical shifts which you are going to discuss. Then the question is asking, discuss the policy measures India should adopt to safeguards its strategic and energy interest. Okay. So what you should be doing, first of all, you should be making a flow chart. You should be making a flow chart. Basically two parts. Okay. You should be highlighting challenges with respect to the strategic interest. Strategic interest like export, import, diaspora, relation with Gulf nations, relation with Gulf, relation with Israel. Okay. So you will be mentioning about the challenges, but you have to mention that in a flowchart form. You don't have to discuss that. You have to just mention it in a flowchart form. Then on this side, you will be mentioning about the energy issue also. Okay. Here, the LNG, LPG, and crude oil. Crude oil. You can write this like 85% dependence, 60% dependence. LNG also, that dependence is again around 50%, 60%. Okay. So you can mention that in what field, how much dependence we are having, with respect to the West Asia. So just highlight that part. Then you will mention policy measures. Policy measures. Here, again one part, safeguarding a strategic interest. You will try to address these issues here. इसका solution देना है. And the B portion will be like this: energy interest. Energy interest. That what should be policy of India for safeguarding the strategic interest, and what should be for the energy interest. Now tell me, now if you are looking at this question and if you are looking at the way we are designing the answer, do you think that we are able to cater to each and every part of the question? क्या आपको अब ये देख के लग रहा है कि जिस तरीके से हम लोगों ने आंसर का डिजाइन बनाया, it will be able to cater to each and every part of the question? ठीक है. What we are doing, we are first examining the major geopolitical shift, then we are discussing the policy measure India should adopt to safeguard its strategic and energy interest. तो पहले हमने वेस्ट एशियन क्राइसिस को इंट्रोडक्शन दिया. Then what we see that we have first focused on the geopolitical shift amid the West Asian crisis. उसमें हमने जो जो पॉइंट्स आर्गू किया था वो आप लिख सकते हो. Then we have made a flow chart. That what are the challenges. In challenges also we are defining it in two parts कि what are the strategic challenges, और क्योंकि एनर्जी को अलग से मेंशन किया था इसलिए एनर्जी को अलग से रख रहे हैं. Why we are putting energy separately? Because it has been mentioned in question separately. क्वेश्चन में सेपरेट मेंशन है इसलिए इसको सेपरेटली मेंशन कर रहे हैं. एंड देन वी आर डिस्कसिंग अगेन द पॉलिसी मेजर. फर्स्ट जस्ट विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट, सेकंड अगेन विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द एनर्जी इंटरेस्ट. तो वी आर आल्सो लाइक we are categorically dividing the answer into different components, and then you can of course write the conclusion part. Okay, so this is how you have to practice the answer. Now again we are having these two questions. So in this week also I have given you 8 questions. इस वीक में भी मैंने आपको 8 क्वेश्चन दिए हैं. तो even if you are writing one question on daily basis, then still you are practicing. Okay. So even if you are writing one question on daily basis, it's good. On Monday we didn't have class. इसलिए we were having 8 questions, but we will have around 10 questions per week. So on a monthly basis, that is 40 questions. On a yearly basis, that is 500 questions approximately. Okay. On a yearly basis, that is 500 questions approximately. So once you have written 500 answers, you will get to know, you will have easy marks in the answer writing. This is what we want to achieve. This is the month of July. If you are preparing for 2027, and if you are continuously working, if you are continuously writing the answer, next year before the examination, even if you are practicing 10 answers from the current on regular basis, and you are also adding some GS answers, then believe me, you are going to be in a very good position with respect to answer writing. I think those of you who are writing answers from the last 2-3 months, you may have seen improvement in yourself. अगर आप लास्ट 2-3 महीने से आंसर लिख रहे हो तो you might have already seen some improvement in your answer writing. So now try to make it much more better. Take a challenge for yourself on regular basis. This is what we are trying to achieve. Okay. So that will be all for today. We will meet again on Monday. And then on Monday we will discuss the editorial. Tomorrow on Saturday we are not having the classes. So on Monday we will meet again, and Monday we will have the editorial session. So thank you everyone. Take care and all the best.